we're going to cover 4 thoughts given Rouleau's scenario to figure out whether he should change from an SP to an LLC. So we're first going to kick this off by talking about a particular scenario. Then we're going to sit down from Rouleau's perspective and think about what limited liability and taxes imply in his thought process on whether to change or not. Then we're also going to think about Rouleau's future for growth. Then we're just going to have a candid conversation on what should he do. If you can follow this flow, you'll understand the thought process and the reasoning of why someone may want to shift from an SP to an LLC. Here's the scenario. Rouleau owns and operates a one-person, as a sole proprietor or SP, graphics art company. Business is really good, but as you well know, as business picks up, you need new computers, you need new software, and you need new training. So Rouleau's asking himself, is it time to transform into a full-fledged LLC rather than just staying a sole proprietorship? We're going to talk about this and understand, at least from his perspective, which way he should go, SP or LLC. Let's talk about liability. There are various forms of liability, but the first kind is the type that sole proprietors experience. A sole proprietor is on the hook for everything. If they go to a court case and lose, guess what? They liquidate their home, their finances, their investments, whatever, to pay for that settlement. Also, sole proprietors are stuck with pass-through taxation. However, as an LLC, Rouleau would have limited liability. For example, if he went to court and lost a case under an LLC, the business aspects could be liquidated. However, the personal, assets like home and car would be protected from liquidation. So LLCs provide some sort of limited liability in that respect. Also, there's a tax incentive, if you want to call it that, as well. An LLC can divvy up the income that comes from the business into 2 categories. The first category is what Rouleau takes and calls his paycheck. That gets taxed. However, the other part could be seen as an investment in the company and is not taxed. For example, his IRA, his insurance, his home office supplies, his computers and so forth. So if you want to have a tax incentive where you can break up the revenue of the company into a stream of income which is taxed and a stream of investment into the company which is not taxed, then an LLC is interesting for you. Let's talk about growth. As you remember in the scenario, Rouleau's company is growing. So let's talk about it. As a sole proprietor, Rouleau finds it tough to attract talent. Why? Because the moment they're hired, they're liable with their personal assets in case something goes wrong. That's not a very good way to hire people. That doesn't encourage people to fill out the job application and show up to become a graphic artist for Rouleau. So people see this as a risky investment of their time and money. Banks would also see this risky as well, so good luck getting a loan for Rouleau if he stays an SP. However, let's talk about what would happen if he changed to an LLC. Talent will appreciate the limited liability protection of the LLC. They'll realize while they're doing their job, their personal assets are not on the hook for when things go wrong. And that's a good thing. That will have people show up. That's something that's kind of important to people. They don't want to lose their home because they're just doing their job. Also, banks like this as well, and so do other lenders, because these sort of structures tend to be a lower risk investment. There's a lower chance of bankruptcy, lower risk of wrongdoing and other things. The business is more professionalized, if you want to call it that. And banks and other people who loan money, venture capitalists, VCs, and so forth, would be a little more amenable to it. So what would the change mean for growth? Well, a couple different things. If he changes over to an LLC, new talent will start to show up. And when new talent shows up, new ideas and new ways of doing things show up. New clientele show up. You never know. Some of these people coming to work at the graphic arts facility may have a list of clients already. And they'll bring their book and generate more business through the company. That could be a good thing. The other thing for growth is this. When you have an LLC, people are more likely to invest. They realize that their time, energy, and money will not subject their personal property to possible loss if something goes wrong. and they're going to be more likely to invest. And if they're more likely to invest, that means Rulo can buy the new computers, new software, new training for the graphics art stuff, which is part of the scenario that he wanted anyways. So for Rulo, when it comes to growth, switching over to an LLC may facilitate that growth. Let's end this discussion with this question. What should Rulo do? And you have to remember, there is a context to what he needs to do. He needs to update his computer software and training. So whatever choice you make for him or think he should do has to fit this. Can he do this being a sole proprietor? Yes. Problem is, he'll just have to wait longer to do it. He'll have to operate the business longer, accumulate the money, save up for it, then invest independently into all these things. Or he can become an LLC, attract talent, attract additional investment, possibly debt, depending upon how he goes about it, and then use that to invest in the new computer software and training. So technically, he can go either way. But the goal for this video is this. Which way do you think he should go? And if you can make that decision, you understand why or why not a sole proprietor would want to become an LLC. The last bit of information you may want to keep in mind is this. If he transitions over to LLCs, there's going to be more paperwork. That's just how it works. Once you become an LLC, you have to file in your state, in your locality for tax purposes, and you have to file with the IRS to claim the LLC. So don't forget about that as well. But which way do you think he should go? Should he save up as a sole proprietor and go on it on his own? Or should he become an LLC and try to recruit some talent and some money to get things going? And once you make that decision, you understand the mindset of the entrepreneur trying to struggle with the idea of staying an SP or changing.